Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Beach FM, great to welcome back the Greater Wellington Regional Council, who's standing at the Kapiti. Penny Gaylor, good morning and welcome for you.
Thank you. Good morning to you.
Lovely to talk to you. Now, here we are, level 2, and the government has mandated the wearing of masks on buses, in fact, in public transport in general. And I imagine that this is something you go along with. I'm just thinking about the bus drivers who I imagine are going to have to enforce this.
Yes, so this is something that is taxing our minds at the moment, you know, that weight of responsibility when they've got enough to be focused on as bus drivers, getting the bus to and from places safely and getting people on and off them and stuff. They're not police officers. So, you know, first and foremost, let's just all do our bit by, if we're saying we've decided that we need to have masks, wear masks while we're on public transport, let's all just do that. It's, you know, that's what we're at the moment. That's the thinking, that's the request, but it's moving to mandatory. So let's just do our small, tiny, really how easy is it? It's so easy. Put a mask on, boom, you're good to go. Don't make it anything you need to have a conversation with the bus driver about. Just do it.
However, that being said, and I agree, that being said, it's not going to happen all the time. And there are instances, and I've seen them because I travel the buses a fair bit. I've seen it when young people can get very stroppy, can get very rebellious. It's not unknown with young people. It can be the case that you've got inebriated people. It can be the case that you've got people who are just having a really bad day, and now we've got this extra complication on top of all of that. What does the bus driver do? Do they have the right to refuse entry? Do they have the right to just drive off and leave people behind?
Well, I would say we're not going to do any of that because we've got particularly young people who've their school buses, stuff like that. We don't want anybody left behind because then we put them at risk in another way. So I can say that because everything's a very quickly moving feast, shall we say, by Monday coming up is when we have to have everything like that in place in terms of the mandatory requirement for masks on public transport. So as we speak, shall I say, we are working through with the bus drivers' unions, working through what sort of support we can have around our bus network to help them be equipped and geared up, or other people there and around the place whose job it will be to do all this enforcement. So, as I say, all being sorted out as we speak, but not entirely sorted out as of today, as of our interview, but it will be in place by Monday. And certainly this is, like I say, first and foremost, let's just do our easy little simple bit, but it absolutely will be a situation where we will be requiring people to wear masks on the buses and the trains.
And the aeroplanes as well, of course. Not that is particularly, at least at the moment, part of the Wellington Regional Council responsibility. I imagine that's a responsibility you wouldn't want at the time, I really think, for the aviation industry. In fact, I'm talking to Dwayne Emily from Air Chatham's tomorrow to look at some of the very real issues they've got about viability and social distancing. And how is the social distancing going on the trains and the buses at the moment, Penny?
Well, I'm not actually sure about, as of today, what sort of numbers we've got in terms of usage. Commuters, we've had a bit of a dip around usage. People are kind of going, well, let me make the call about people doing work from home again. But we don't have the ability to kind of, or I don't have the numbers with me as we speak today, but certainly we've anecdotally, knowing that the numbers have dipped, we're waiting to have the formal numbers back through to us. Yes. This is stuff that continues to hurt us financially as a regional council, and we're hoping that the government will continue to look kindly upon us to help with the subsidising of public transport, because we just can't have it all landing completely at the ratepayers' feet. So yes, lots of moving parts in
absolutely.
this puzzle, and we all are I think we're all getting used to the fact that sometimes decisions are made, and we're actually having to move very quickly. We're an example. This is the example for us of how agile we're having to be. We had been doing some backroom thinking and planning, so that is in place, but it's sort of the case of go now with activating it. As I say, we've got enough notice to know now by Monday it will be mandatory. So the actual formal working through with unions and working through with other peoples who we can get to do things for us, such as we've previously had roaming ambassadors. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so we're certainly going to be geared up to manage it. I can assure you of that.
Excellent. And the other thing, of course, is the QR code. So this is a success of the last fortnight or so, the number of people who've got the app on their telephone and seem to be using it relatively happily now. Do the buses and the trains also have the QR codes to scan?
Right, so we've good with the buses that we've sort of rolled out the QR codes across our bus fleet, so that we've no gaps in amongst the buses, and in our in terms of tracing across our train and the ferry network, it's not exactly the same, but we're working on that as well. So yes, it's all, who would have thought? Not so long ago.
No doubt about
who would have thought? So just very hard for everybody, and but I do appreciate that we're not getting any feedback from that. We're hearing of irate passengers. No. Everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's being very understanding and patient, and we just know that this is just how it's going.
Yes, we all want it to work, don't we? When you say it's not quite the same for the trains and the ferries, by that, do you mean that you haven't got round to it yet? It seems to me the principle is the same.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in reference to, because the snapper cards, we were kind of trying to partner with our snapper card in this mix here. So, the QR codes can go up on places as it does for any business, but it's just a case of how we're doing that stuff and supporting with the technology. So just all fine-tuning at the moment. Things are sorted, getting sorted. Just, gosh, it's a tough space to be in.
Oh, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And what about your meetings? Are you Zooming now or not?
Yeah, back to Zooming. We had a taste of in-person. Now we're back to Zooming again, so that's all cool. Probably for next week as well. And then we'll just see how we go beyond that. I've got my Environment Committee coming up on the 10th of September. Would be nice if that was in person. There's just something, it's just all together better to do some of the stuff in person, particularly committee and council meetings.
Yes.
But certainly the smaller group ones continue. I did, Zooming the last few days in various meetings. I did have a meeting in Wellington with some other people that we did, exercise social distancing. So we made sure we were in a meeting room that was ample space to actually manage that for the kind of the 6 people that were in a room, a kind of a chambers-sized room.
Right, okay.
And then we had a person zooming in who was, back to working from home. So just, there's what I think also what we're getting used to, some other stuff now, is that there's a mix of some people in person occasionally, and then you might be in Zoom. So we're just going with the flow, aren't we?
We are, wherever that flow may take us. Great to have your company once again. Thank you so much for your contribution here on Beach FM 106.3. Penny Gaylor, Regional Councillor, thank you.
Thank you.
106.3 Beach FM.